Hello again.
Hello.
Hello, we're doing another one of these.
Yeah, for this video, we're going to be reacting to paranormal horror stories. These are supposed to be very scary.
Yeah, according to Adam,
Yeah, I've
unlike
watched
the
them.
other ones, yeah, he watched these already. I haven't seen them yet, so I can't tell if they are or not. But according to they're one of the more effective ones that Mr. Nightmare's uploaded. But yeah, let's see. Again, I haven't seen these yet, but Adam has, so he knows what's gonna happen. I've seen like the first few minutes of it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever we were attempting to watch it outside, but connection was bad. So, but yeah, that was yesterday. So I have seen
To the
like a little bit of this, but not much.
classrooms.
Really, go back to the beginning. Yeah, this first part, I've seen this, but yeah, after that, everything else is new to me.
When I was 21 years old, I worked the maintenance and custodial position at the nearby daycare down the block. My job entailed disposing of trash, moving and setting up furniture for special events, performing preventative maintenance, keeping supplies organized, maintaining and cleaning the facility, caring for equipment, and overall maintaining a safe environment, which included reporting suspicious activity that may lead to child abuse or mistreatment. Some days I'd even be the one both opening and closing the facility. It was a pretty demanding job since it was just me and one older guy who was more or less my boss. Most of the time I'd be the one to lock up the place, as he would go home earlier. The daycare building is on the grounds of a Catholic school and church, though I'm pretty sure the daycare was open to anybody, regardless of religion. The older worker, who I'll just refer to as Bob, was leaving early this one day. It must have been a Friday because he always left early on Fridays. He told me the things I needed to get done before cleaning up. Start with the usual clean up the classrooms, and also pack the rest of the Thanksgiving decorations from the classrooms back into the crates, bring them down to the basement, and then start bringing the Christmas crates upstairs. These crates contain decorations that would be used all
All
over the
this is new
building,
to
from
me.
the lobby to the hallways to the
Like after this
classrooms.
point on.
The childcare staff would be the ones to do the actual decorating, but it was my job to
Yeah.
clean up all of it and bring the crates up and downstairs. Since it was now after Thanksgiving, it was time for Christmas decorations to be brought up. All the kids and staff were gone by this point. It was dark out between 6 and 7 o'clock. I was the only one left in the building, so I locked all the doors while I continued my work. I went down to the basement, which was used mostly for storage. Since it was cold out and we were past outdoor play season, all the outdoor toys that were usually in the courtyard play area were downstairs in the basement. This included but wasn't limited to plastic slides and those toy cars that kids would move themselves in with their feet. The basement consisted of a hallway which passed the boiler room and the hot water heaters, and at the end of the hallway was the storage room. This room always had a creepy vibe to it, mostly because of the lighting, or lack thereof. There was no direct overhead lighting down there. It was just two sketchy dim lights in the corners, and then the small light from the hallway. The basement ceiling also wasn't high. I had to slightly crouch to avoid hitting my head in certain spots. It was like a hybrid of a basement and a crawl space. But then again, I'm 6'3", so to shorter people this wasn't an issue. The basement had a bunch of small windows that would make it decently bright down there during the daytime, but obviously at this point it was dark, so I would use a flashlight. I brought the Thanksgiving containers down one by one, putting them near to the front of the basement just because I was lazy and wanted to go home and likely start the
Here we go!
Fuck.
Max is missing. We've got to find him.
I don't.
weekend. I was lugging one of the Christmas containers up the stairs and through the hallway when I heard a kid's voice and then laughing. It was very muffled, but I definitely knew what I heard. I stopped pushing the container and started looking around the place. I checked every classroom, then the indoor playroom, then the art room, then the bathrooms. Every room I could think of. There were no kids in there. I kept hearing that muffled voice every once in a while, though. The one place I didn't check was the basement. I walked back to the basement door and looked down the stairs, waiting. I heard a noise come from down there. The realization that there was a kid down there dawned on me, and so I ran down the stairs yelling, "Who's down there?" thinking one of the kids snuck down there. I got to the bottom and ran the basement hallway to the storage room. I saw one of the toy cars moving for like a second before coming to a halt. It was 100% as if it had just been pushed. I stood in place and looked around the room. I didn't see any kids that could have just pushed that car. I said, "Anyone down here?" multiple times. It was dead silent. The silence was actually deafening. I started actually looking inside the boxes and containers, thinking a kid could be hiding in one of them. But halfway through, I started realizing there was no way a kid could close any of these containers or boxes on top of themselves. At this moment, I felt like I was alone, but that I also wasn't. I can't explain it. And then, right behind me, I heard something plastic drop to the floor. There was no draft whatsoever down in that basement. I didn't even turn to see what it was. I just fled to the upstairs without looking back. I stopped at the top of the stairs again, and when I heard what I could only describe as a child's whisper down there, I slammed the door shut. I didn't know what else to do except call Bob, and in short, he said if I think there's a kid down there that I need to call the police. The scary thing is, I didn't think there was a kid down there, but I still called 911. I just couldn't leave without confirming. And I was right that there were no kids down there, because with the help of a couple police officers, when we looked down there, there was nothing but a bunch of boxes and containers full of supplies and decorations. I also couldn't find anything on the floor that could have made that plastic sound dropping on the floor. Given the fact that there was nowhere else to hide down there, and no one reported their kids missing, the cops could do nothing except leave. I could tell the cops felt like I wasted their time, but I was too disturbed to be embarrassed of the police call. I quit right before Christmas, before I ever had to go back down to that basement again. This happened not too long ago. I live alone in my apartment. I'd like to get it out of the way that I don't take any medication, nor am I diagnosed with anything that would impair my awareness or cause me to hallucinate. This night was a one-time incident that I can't explain, and I really hope it stays a one-time incident. I had a long day at work. I work as a construction worker in the city, and I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week on top of it. So depending on the projects we're working on at work, when I get home, I'm ready to collapse on a couch. After work and the gym one night, I stopped for food on the way home because there was no way on earth I was about to cook. I was shot. I got home and plopped the Chipotle I just bought on the ottoman in my living room, and I just laid out on the couch as I ate. This was later in the week, so I was already tiring out. I demolished the Chipotle, and I definitely could have eaten more, but I was honestly so tired that I actually fell asleep on the couch while watching TV. I woke up a few hours later, realizing it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was so comfortable on the couch under the blanket, honestly, that I didn't want to get up, but I realized I left my contacts in, so I went to the bathroom to take them out, and at that point, I went to my bedroom to just go to sleep in my actual bed. Walking to my room, I heard my name called from the living room. All I could think was, what the actual f***? It was a female's voice. I turned back around and went into the living room. I flicked on the light, but the room was too blurry. I said, "Who was that? Mom?" No answer. I had to go get my glasses from my room if I wanted to see. I made my way to my nightstand and grabbed my glasses, and then went back out to the living room. I was the only breathing soul in here. My apartment isn't huge, it's just the kitchen and living room, which are one space, then my bedroom and a bathroom. Not many places to look, and not many places to hide. But there also shouldn't have been anyone in my apartment. I called my mom just to confirm she wasn't here, and I apparently woke her up with my phone call, so that answered that. I chalked it up to a brain fart moment, because clearly no one was in here, and so I went to bed. It wasn't as easy to fall asleep this time, because now all I was thinking about was how I just heard a voice say my name. It was when I was finally seemingly starting to fall asleep that I heard a female voice say my name again, from inside the bedroom. I flipped over on my back and looked across the room. All I could see was this big, tall human
Hi.
Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, that was Grizz Gamer. get back to this anyway.
Heard a voice say my name. It was when I was finally seemingly starting to fall asleep that I heard a female voice say my name again, from inside the bedroom. I flipped over on my back and looked across the room. All I could see was this big, tall, human-shaped mass a few feet in front of my bed. I could see the long hair of a woman, and I could barely see what I must have imagined to be distorted facial features. I let out a harrowing scream as I fumbled for the light switch or my glasses. I knocked over the lamp as I finally found the switch to turn it on, and now there was nothing at the end of my bed. I put on my glasses and searched every nook and cranny of the room, under the bed, the closets, and the dresser. Then I checked the rest of the apartment. I can say matter-of-factly that there was no one but me in this apartment. I felt like I was losing my mind. The only way I managed to go to sleep that night in that apartment was convincing myself I had hallucinated these things because of my lack of sleep or overworking myself. When I tell people about this, I downplay it, saying, yeah, I hallucinated this one time. I don't go into detail about how real it all was, because then some people get doubtful or think I was on drugs. It was without a doubt the scariest, most surreal moment of my life, hallucination or not. I'm 27 years old, living with my brother James in a house we share. Never had anything severely strange or abnormal happen to me in my life, but there was this one week that I experienced this strange series of events. It started on what I thought would be a normal night like any other. I was in the kitchen washing the dishes before getting ready for bed. Suddenly, a plastic cup came crashing to the floor, and the sound of it made me jump and spin around from the sink. I saw the blue plastic cup bounce a few times, then fall dead on the floor. This was one of the cups that sits atop the cabinet. I knew it had to have been sitting upright, though. I had no idea what kind of force could have knocked it off the cabinet. It made no logical sense. I picked it up and put it back on the cabinet. That wasn't the last strange event that night, though. While in bed with the blinds shut, there was suddenly a strange, very faint glow in my room. It came through the blinds. I flipped over onto my side and tried to peek under the crack at the bottom of the blinds, but I couldn't see anything. Honestly, as weird as it was, I was so comfortable in bed and was too lazy to go lift the blinds. I dismissed the light as something like a street light having a new bulb or something. I know, a little ridiculous, but at the time I had no reason to suspect anything paranormal. The next day I was home alone when James was at work. It was a dark, stormy day, and the house was constantly rumbling from the thunder, so when I heard a cup fall from the kitchen, I associated it with the thunder. I went to the kitchen to pick it up, and realized it was the same blue plastic cup I'd carefully put back on the cabinet yesterday. There was no way thunder could have knocked it down from where it was. I put it on the counter and stood there, confused and a bit shaken, looking around the kitchen, not knowing what to think. As I was standing in the kitchen, I heard a creak in the floor above me. The room above me was actually my bedroom. I went to the stairs and called up for James, but I instantly remembered he wasn't home. Maybe it was the thunder shaking the whole house. But still, I had to check my room just for peace of mind. I went up the stairs to my room and turned on the lights, given that all the rooms in the house were dark due to the weather. My room is square-shaped with 2 big closets. The room was clear, as were the closets, so I shut the light and went back downstairs. That night, when James got home, I had a discussion with him about the strange events that had been taking place. He said he hadn't been aware of any of it. Still, nothing that happened up until that point was extremely unusual. For the rest of the night, things were normal, and I fell asleep with ease. I awoke at some off hour in the night. It was still dark. I checked my phone. It was 2 in the morning. I rolled back on my side and shut my eyes. When I heard the distinct sound of a finger tapping on a window, I could feel my heart in my throat.
Here's my dog.
I didn't know why someone would be knocking at my window, but I didn't want to see who could be out there. But for some reason, it took me that long to realize I was on the 2nd floor of the house. Therefore, nobody could be on the outside of my window. I pushed the sheets off my body and flipped to face the window. There was no one standing there on the inside, though. So I lifted the blind, and there was no one outside either. Still, I knew that I heard what I heard, and I knew I hadn't been imagining or dreaming it. I ran to my brother's room and started freaking out. I don't know whether he believed me or not. Quite frankly, I don't think I'd believe me if I hadn't experienced it. I slept in the living room that night, and it's been 3 weeks now without any paranormal incidents. I never believed in the supernatural until this happened. I once took a road trip from New Hampshire to Florida. I had to stop at a hotel to sleep overnight when I was about halfway there. It was some old, somewhat dilapidated hotel that rested off the highway on a quiet road. There were like 2 cars in the parking lot, so there were definitely not a lot of guests. The lady at the front desk was very robotic and seemed bored with her job. She seemed to fit the atmosphere of the hotel perfectly. The lobby was full of tacky chairs and tables you'd expect to find put out on the curb. The wallpapers were all dated and equally tacky. Didn't matter though, I wasn't staying there for the luxury, just for the night and for the convenience. It was late when I checked in, so when I got in the room, all I did was take out my toothbrush and brush my teeth before jumping into the hotel bed. I turned out the lamp next to the bed and tried to go to sleep, not looking forward to the long day of driving I had ahead of me the next day. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I looked at the bedside clock to be sure that it was almost midnight. I went to the door and looked through the peephole. Apparently the peephole didn't work though, because I couldn't see out into the hallway through it. All I saw was
What?
I kind of do agree with what you said before about this one. Kind of spooky.
black. I looked down at the crack under the door, but didn't see any outlines of feet blocking the light, so I opened the door just a little bit to peek into the hallway. When I didn't see anyone standing in front of the door, I opened it fully and then peeked down both sides of the hallway. It was clear, so I had to suddenly question if someone in this relatively vacant hotel was pranking me. I shut the door, locked it with the bolt this time, and went to lay back down in the bed. But then it happened again, a knock at the door. This time I jumped out of the bed, ran to the door, and checked the peephole again. Shockingly, all I saw was the empty hallway outside, but it hit me. This time I could actually see through the peephole. I unbolted the door and opened it. No one. I looked down both sides of the hallway again, and there was no one. This was where I drew the line. I grabbed the key to the room and went to the lady at the front desk. I told her someone kept knocking on my door, and politely asked her to check the cameras to see who it could be. She said they didn't have cameras in the hallways. Her reaction also wasn't what I was hoping for.
Wait, what? Okay, back. Adam had to charge his Chromebook, but yeah.
She seemed very calm and disconcerted with what I told her. She said in a calm voice there was only one other guest in the whole building. Then she just stared blankly at me. I'm not sure how she thought her response properly acknowledged my concern or what she expected me to say, but I could tell she wouldn't be of any help with the matter, so I left her and went back to my room. I locked the door with the bolt again. This time I put on my headphones and put on one of those 10-hour sleep relaxation videos on YouTube. This would not only help me get to sleep, but block out any possible future sounds from whoever was deciding to mess with me. And it worked. For a while at least. Eventually I flipped from my side to my back, just looked around the room. My head froze when I was staring at the corner. I sat up to try to get a closer look at what I thought I was seeing. I swear it looked like a giant humanoid figure, like a 10-foot tall human, standing right in the corner, head to the ceiling. When I put that image together in my head, I felt a sudden rush of horror in my body. I jumped across the bed to flick on the lamp, but when the room lit up, there was nothing in that corner of the room. I simply sat there with my heart beating probably 200 beats per minute. I gave myself a couple of minutes to calm down before shutting the light back off and laying back down on my side. I still had the headphones in my ears playing the relaxation video. It helped calm me down a little bit. I didn't last even 2 minutes without sitting back up and examining the room again, however. And there it was in the corner, what looked to be a 10-foot tall humanoid figure. I crawled to the edge of the bed to get as close a look as I could before practically shitting myself. I saw what I was sure was a long arm at the side, moving. I dove to turn on the lamp again, and the corner was empty again. I didn't stick around that time. I packed up my few things in a matter of seconds and left the room. I gave the key to the woman and said I'm checking out early. She didn't even say a word as I stormed out that front door of the hotel. I continued driving until I found another hotel, where I fell fast asleep with no supernatural disturbances. As a kid, I had a bedroom on the first floor. Money was a little tight, and our mom was taking care of 4 kids. I was the youngest, so I had the little room. My room was next to the living room, a small square room with wood flooring. There were 2 big vents in the floor in this room in 2 opposite corners, and also 2 vents in the ceiling. My bed took up half the room. Like I said, it was a very small room. I'll keep it short and straight to the point. I was 13 years old doing my homework on my bed since I didn't have a desk in my room when I heard a child's laughter. I went outside my room to look around the living room and kitchen for any of my siblings. Everyone seemed to be upstairs though. Usually in these kinds of stories, you hear people say they just chalk these kinds of things up to their imagination. But that's stupid. I definitely heard that laughter. There's no way I imagined something so clear. I continued my homework, but with one ear perked up listening for any other suspicious sounds. Eventually enough time passed that I was able to move past it. In fact, it seems it was just about when I was able to get over it that I heard it again. A child's laughter. Or more so, giggling, I should say. This time it went on longer. It wasn't coming from outside my room. It was somewhere in the room. I figured one of my brothers were hiding from me. I followed the sound of the laughter, strangely to the corner of my room. Then I looked down at the vent on the floor. It was coming from inside the vent. I got down on my knees and pressed my ear up to the vent. There was no more giggling at this point, though. When there was a silence for a few seconds, I lifted my ear from the vent and then put my eyes up to the vent to get a peek inside. It took me a second to realize I was staring at a pair of eyes looking back up at me. I shrieked like a girl and screamed for my mom. She came storming into my room moments later, but of course the noises were gone, as were the eyes. My mom thought I was going crazy due to a lack of sleep, but I refused to sleep in that room, so she let me sleep in her room that night. That went on for a week, actually, before she put her foot down. I spent the next 4 years in that same bedroom before we moved, and nothing paranormal ever happened to me since that one particular night.
Okay. I think that's it for this
Yeah,
video.
but
And yeah,
I do
like and subscribe.
now watching it, I do agree with what Adam said.
Yeah, yeah, do you think that was a lot more scarier than the other ones?
Kind of. Yeah, that's it for this.
Yeah, bye bye. See
See
ya.
you next time whenever we make another one of these.
Yeah.
Bye.